Welcome to Home Remodeler Toolbox, the podcast dedicated to empowering remodelers and builders to build and grow successful businesses. Join your host, Bob Vance, founder of Home Remodeler SEO, as he brings you industry insights and strategies that will help you build a thriving business, no matter what level you're at in your business. Whether you're a thriving multi-million-dollar business or you're working on building your business from the foundation up, this podcast is your go-to source for industry secrets and actionable strategies that you can implement in your business to get to that next level. So, turn on, tune in, and let's help you build your business foundation one building block at a time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Home Remodeler Toolbox podcast. Bob Vance with you here again today. Right now I want to talk about something that almost every remodeler tells me they want more of, and that's leads. I get it. When things feel inconsistent, when the schedule isn't as full as you'd like it to be, the first instinct is always, we need more leads. But after working with a lot of remodeling companies in that $1 to $3 to $5 million range, I can tell you this, most of the time, it's not a lead problem, it's a pipeline problem. And those are very different things. So in this podcast episode, I want to unpack what an effective sales pipeline actually looks like for a remodeling company, why follow-up is probably the most overlooked growth lever in your business, and how tightening this system can change your revenue without increasing your marketing spend. So what a sales pipeline really means. When people hear the phrase sales pipeline, they often think it just means leads coming in, phone calls, website forms, maybe some Google Ads traffic. But a pipeline isn't traffic. A pipeline is structure. It's the intentional path someone moves through from first discovering you to actually signing a contract. And in remodeling, that path is not short, it's not simple. Homeowners don't make impulse decisions. They research, they compare, they validate, they hesitate, they talk to their spouse, they review budgets, they talk to multiple contractors. There's a lot going on there. And if you don't have a clear picture guiding that journey, you're relying on chance. For a remodeler, the pipeline typically looks something like this: awareness, then inquiry, qualification, followed by consultation, proposal, sales follow-up, and then a signed contract. Each stage has a purpose. Each stage requires clarity, and each stage needs an intentional next step. What I see most often is a heavy focus on the front end. Remodelers spend their energy trying to increase visibility, boost traffic, and generate more inquiries in general. But once those inquiries turn into consultations and proposals, the structure kind of starts to get a little bit loosey-goosey. Things become reactive instead of systematic, and that's where growth stalls. And so let's talk about where revenue actually gets lost at here. Let's say you run 20 consultations this year. Low numbers, conservative, easy to imagine. Out of those, you end up sending 15 proposals. And out of those 15 proposals, you close, say, 4 or 5 projects, 1 in 3, 1 in 4. Most remodelers look at that and think, if we just had 10 more leads, we'd close more jobs. But what if the better question is, why are we only closing 30%? More importantly, what happens between the proposal and that ultimate decision by the homeowner? And so this is where sales follow-up lives. And this is where most remodelers unintentionally drop the ball. I've heard it over and over. We sent a proposal, we're waiting to hear back, or they said they're thinking about it. But here's the thing. Homeowners are almost always thinking about it. They're thinking about price, they're thinking about timing and trust and risk and the economy and geopolitics and the election and everything else they're thinking about. If you disappear after sending the proposal, you're not just giving them space, you're giving your competitor space to move in. Strong follow-up isn't pushy. It's professional. It signals confidence. It shows organization, and it reinforces value. So when you send a proposal, that shouldn't be the end of the conversation. It should be the beginning of a guided decision process. That might mean scheduling the follow up call at the time you deliver the proposal. It might mean sending additional project examples that relate directly to their concerns. It might mean addressing common hesitations before they become actual objections. The remodelers who consistently close at higher rates don't necessarily have better pricing, they have better follow up systems. And so the math that remodelers rarely run, let's break it down for you. I want to slow this down. Let's just look at the numbers and dive in here. Let's say you're a $2 million remodeling company or a builder, probably a remodeling company. Let's say you're averaging 150,000 per project. We'll use that as an example. And so you only need about 14 solid projects per year to hit that $2 million revenue number. If you're sending 25 proposals annually and closing 40%, that's 10 jobs. If you increase that close rate to 50% simply by improving follow-up and reinforcing value, you've just added significant revenue without increasing your marketing spend at all. You can get closer to that 14 jobs you need to hit that $2 million number just by bumping that close rate up an extra 10%. And so that's why I say growth is often sitting in the middle of the funnel, not the top of the funnel. More leads can help, of course, but optimizing the conversion of the leads you already have is often faster and more profitable. An effective pipeline creates predictability. It allows you to forecast. It reduces the emotional decision making. It gives you visibility into where deals are stalling and why they might be stalling. Without that structure, everything feels urgent. With it, though, everything feels intentional. And so, what does an effective pipeline actually feel like? When your sales pipeline is healthy, your business just feels different. You know how many active opportunities are in play. You know what stage each one of those opportunities is in. Hopefully, you're tracking that stage by stage in your CRM. And then you know what the next action step is going to be. Nothing sits idle when you're intentional about your sales pipeline. So instead of guessing whether you'll hit your revenue targets, you can actually see that path laid out in front of you. And here's something important as well. When you're confident in your pipeline, you show up differently in sales conversations. You're not chasing, you're not desperate, you're not discounting out of fear. You're calm because you understand your numbers and your process. Homers can feel that. They can feel that confidence. And that confidence is built on structure. And that makes it even that much more powerful. And so if you're in that $1 to say $3 million range and growth is starting to feel a little inconsistent, before you pour money into marketing, more and more money into marketing, maybe chasing some bad marketing channels, I would suggest first take a hard look at your pipeline. Ask yourself, do you have a defined follow-up sales system? Automated, things that continually happen without you having to remember them or post-it notes, stuck to your computer. Are you tracking your proposal to close ratio to see where people might be falling off? Are you reinforcing value after the consultation? Do you just wait for them to call and say yes or no? Or are you sending follow-up emails and pieces of content that reinforce the value, reinforce the quality craftsmanship you're doing, reinforce your professionalism, your concierge level of customer service, different projects that you're doing you can make into a case study, before and after photos, constantly keeping them on the loop on what you're doing currently on other projects, that you're not just like, oh, I'll make a call and then maybe in a few weeks I'll make another call and maybe I'll make another call, maybe I won't. You got to have more going on than just that periodic, every 2 or 3 week check-in that typically I find happens once or twice. And then people just go, oh, they must have went with someone else. That's a bad assumption. These are big decisions. They take time. They take a lot of discussion. They take a lot of agreement amongst the family, amongst the parents, on whether this is really gonna be the right move for their family, financially, lifestyle wise. Everything, it really comes into play. And so you want to make sure that you're not just sending proposals and hoping for the best. Hope is not a strategy. Structure is a strategy. Structure is intentional. And once you build that structure, marketing becomes more of an amplifier instead of a band-aid. And so in the next episode, what we're going to talk about is something that kind of really ties directly into this. And that's the cost of not making a marketing decision now. Putting off your marketing investment, in other words, thinking, oh, I'm not ready yet, or we got some referrals, we got some jobs. I'll wait till, the pipeline completely runs dry. And then you think marketing is going to be the magic fix, and it's going to, all of a sudden your pipeline is going to be full because, hey, I talked to Bob or I talked to some other company and we started marketing. It's going to be magical here within 2 weeks. Obviously, that's not the way it works. We want to make sure that you're thinking about opportunity cost, opportunity loss, because the opportunity cost of waiting is often invisible until it's too late. You're busy, you're waiting, it's not ready, it's not that time yet. And then at that point, when it's invisible, you're fine with it. But then when the leads stop coming, no referrals for a month now, 2 months, nothing coming in, all of a sudden it's not so invisible. And now it's too late. Now you're in trouble. Now you're behind the 8 ball. Now you're going to go a few months, if not more, without revenue while you try to get your marketing ramped up. So looking forward to the next episode. We'll talk about the cost of not making a marketing decision now and putting it off until later. I hope you enjoyed the insights I shared today. Thanks for tuning in to our Home Remodeler Toolbox podcast. I'm just trying to get as much value out there as I can, give you some things to think about to make you better in your business. So I'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Take care.
Hey, if you liked our podcast, join the remodeling community and hit subscribe. We would love to hear from you, so be sure to share your thoughts on what you might want to hear about in future episodes. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, visit homeremodellerseo.com and check out our services that can help build your foundation for success. Thanks for tuning in to the Home Remodeler Toolbox podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.